Check, check, check. Got to come up here. Phone's got to be there.
Hello.
Hi, is this Stephanie?
Yes.
Hi, it's Tom Henson
Tom?
calling.
Hey, can you hang on while I shut my door?
I'm happy to, sure.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Okay.
Now, I know that this is a huge issue, and I know that there's a lot to it, and it's very complex. Can you just kind of explain to me how things? It seems that the people are upset about the increase that they've gotten in their assessments for the most part. Just from what we've heard, we're not going to hear from people who are happy with it, just like you won't.
Oh, gosh, no.
So
what I did, though, for you is I answered your questions that you sent me.
Oh, great.
If that's okay.
Oh, that'll be perfect. That'll be
I'm
wonderful.
just going to read it off to you.
Can I have you talk to me? Can we make it a little conversational? Because I'd like to use this as for long form programming. You know what I mean? To explain that you play it so people understand everything. So if you and I could make it like a little conversation, that would be great. Is that okay?
I'm not good with that stuff, but I'll try to do that.
How about let's just do what you're comfortable with. I'm happy to do that.
Okay, so do you want to ask me the question?
Yeah, I'm going to ask you the first one. Yeah, I'll just ask you the first one.
And I'll answer it.
And you'll go from there, and then you can take it from there. That's fine. All right, so explain to me, like I'm a sixth grader, exactly what's happened this year that's different from years past, and why things seem to be so much much higher in the assessment area.
Gotcha. Okay, so assessments are lower than that 33 1/3 of market value that is required by law, versus the sale prices that continue to sell are much higher.
Mm-hmm.
So what that does is it causes a multiplier. When the assessment is low, it needs to be at 33 1/3 of market, and we're going to average that to get it to 33 in a market and apply a multiplier. The multipliers were extremely high last year, and I can tell you that the average was 13%. We have 37 townships. 28 of them range from 13% to 16%. 8 of them 6% to 11%, and I can tell you that they're more, the bigger towns. One was at 0.9979 due to that township did their quadrennial in 2023, and that quad reassessment kept that township closer to the 33 1/3. So that's why.
So the multiplier is almost like 1 in that one, or barely 1. Yeah.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
So now, that's going to change as time goes on because it's an average of 3 years. So that township has to keep doing what they're supposed to do, or they're going to get extremely high.
Tell me what the townships should be doing, and are there townships that haven't been doing what they're supposed to be doing that got us to this point?
Yes, and that is they have not done their quadrennials. They are supposed to look at property every 4 years. And what I am finding throughout LaSalle County is that the higher the multipliers go, the higher it gets the people that are assessed higher. There's tax dollars that are going up way more because whatever the tax rate is. But a multiplier on a $50,000 assessment versus an $8,000 assessment, and that home may be sold for $70,000. That is what is being subject to these high multipliers.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That makes sense.
So, but yes, so essentially, if the township people are conducting business the way they're supposed to be every year, and keeping assessments in line with that, then it shouldn't be a shock every couple of years, correct?
Correct.
And the problem is that, can you give me some, maybe necessarily not, you don't need to name names or townships, but can you name a couple of egregious examples of people who just aren't getting the work done? Without naming names.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them that have not been doing the work. When you see that, I just told you that 28 out of 37 multipliers ranged from 13% to 16%.
Right.
That's a lot of stuff not being done correctly.
All right. So we have, how many townships do we have where we have supervisors who take care of the assessments? In LaSalle County.
The assessors, well, they're either going to be elected or contracted or appointed.
Okay.
So I can't tell you off the top of my head. I know we have 16 assessors. I would say generally most of them are contracted.
Okay. So 16 assessors, and there's one in each township? Are there only 16 townships?
There's 37 townships.
That's what I thought. So you're less than half. You have less than half the people you need.
Well, some of them are multi-townships, the smaller ones.
Okay.
So they require an assessor. They don't necessarily have an assessor, some of them, so they have to contract an assessor that's, certified, that has a certification in order to do that. So that assessor, like one assessor I know, she probably has like 6 or 7 townships, but she's elected in one and contracts the other one.
I see. Okay. It makes sense because there are so many different townships with different sizes and everything else.
Yes.
Stephanie, let me ask you, what is the structure of these then? None of these people report into you, correct?
They turn their work into me, to the townships.
Mm-hmm.
Their deadline date by law is June 15th every year. And then we process their work, and then the multipliers then come from their work, the SA work, and we also have to put in certified farmland, and there's other things that we have to do here.
Okay.
But the multiplier strictly is really coming based off of what those assessors have the property assessed at versus the market.
Versus the market.
That's where the multipliers come from, and that's where we're having the problem.
How do we fix this?
Legislators,
Okay.
possibly.
It's not at the county level, it's a state level?
Yeah, I actually am only by law, I give them instructions each year. I have an instructional meeting, which I do.
To the assessors?
They're very very full aware of what their job duties are. They take an oath for that job. They know their job duties. They continue to not fulfill their oath. If you watch a few of the online meetings,
the county meetings, you're talking about the county meetings, yeah.
It's gonna be the GIS. It's going to be taxes, elections, and GIS.
That committee. Okay.
I've been on there a lot, Tom.
No, I've seen you in there on the videos.
You might want to watch some of those because a lot of that stuff might, also help with this situation.
Gotcha.
I do have something else.
Please.
That I would like to advise to the taxpayers.
Yeah.
Is I would like to them to learn more about the property tax cycle, and they can go to our website, www.lasallecountyil.gov, and choose the assessment department. We have added so much new information on there to try to help taxpayers get some of their questions answered. And most of all of our forms are out there online. And lastly, I would really want them to pay attention to their tax bill current and see what their market value is. If they honestly do not believe that they can get that for their home, they need to do an appeal with the Board of Review.
I did a story on that, and it is possible to do it, but you need to have a lot of patience and time, don't you, if you want to appeal?
You have to be able to prove your case, of course.
No, so you have to pull everything together.
But also, if you look on our website, most of the information's out there.
Right.
We have our GIS out there. that sales ratio I was explaining about is out there. So we just recently put a lot of stuff out there for our county board members, for our taxpayers. We've been referring a lot of them to look at our website. Some of these questions will be answered through the website. We have added stuff from the Department of Revenue, publications, things that are right there. Everything's together, and it's on our website.
Stephanie Kenny, let me ask you this. So, if we could just restate it, if we could come away with one thing to hang this story on, which is what can we do to fix this going forward, it is to just have what can you do except tell people to be vigilant? Is there anything else to tell people about, staying on top of things or getting the assessors to stay on top of things? What can we do right now to keep this from happening again?
Go to township meetings. Call the assessor. Ask the assessor the last time they've been to their property. Ask them if they are doing their quadrennial every 4 years, which by law they have to view every property.
Okay. So it's all decentralized since they don't have a person to report into. You've got essentially 16 assessors out there as independent contractors, whether elected.
Elected officials are contracted, and I personally, the SA, my job is to equalize, take care of exemptions. We have the GIS here, the mapping, the, commercial, industrial. That is what they take their oath for, is to do the residential property of these townships.
Okay, that's fair.
That's the biggest amount of parcels that you have. So if that's not being done correctly in that first step, then it comes to me. I get the Department of Revenue sales ratio study, see what they're assessed at, see what things sold for, and then we have to equalize the county here, and then it moves on from that to the levies and the taxing bodies.
Okay.
What do they need?
All right.
It just keeps going up a level. So it's not any one player, but it would be nice if we could have the assessors, which are the very first step, really pay attention and get their job done right.
So to summarize, if the 16 assessors in LaSalle County were to stay on top of everything the way they're sworn to do, and if the residents of the county, just as property owners, could just sort of keep a mental track of where things are year to year, they can see if there's any kind of change, a big change coming. If the assessors are doing their job, the residents can see incremental increases or whatever instead of a big balloon every couple of years.
Everything you said is really good, except for the reason that the assessors, when the taxpayers, when the bills go out, publication, when we send out notices of any changes for the year 2024, we send out our notices, changes being made by demolitions or permits, new homes, decks added, this and that. But what it doesn't do, we have to publish the multipliers. We don't send notice by mail. So we publish those on our website, and we publish in the newspapers.
So basically,
and that's what we have to do by law. So that multiplier that we talked about, the tax rates, probably most of them, because they were so high, went down a little bit. I would think. I don't know that.
Sure.
You would have to talk to the clerk's office. But I imagine that because the high multipliers, that they ended up having a lot more EAV, and they levy in December. So, I don't know what the tax rates all ended up being.
Right.
I haven't had time to look at that.
Yeah.
But because the state doesn't mandate that we send out just for a multiplier only change, that multiplier is so big that it really makes a big difference in some people's dollars they're going to pay. So
the first step then is just to restate it, is if it's the multiplier that's killing us, then to try to inoculate ourselves against that the best we can. It's never going to be complete, certainly, but the assessors are out there then and keeping track, and the homeowners are out there keeping track, and that will prevent it is less likely to allow for a big scare. when you
a
open.
big, huge jump.
Yep.
Yep. It should be a gradual jump, and it should be going along with whatever the market's doing, because that's what they base it on.
Has to stay in. Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Yep.
Is there
Stay
any
in
other?
check.
Is there any other point you'd like to make, Stephanie, while I have you on the phone?
No.
Okay.
Just make it sound good.
I always will. Don't worry about that.
I know.
That's off the record. I'm not telling you that, but I'm.
Just talking with you is just good. Anyway, I really enjoy talking with
I
you last
appreciate
time,
that.
too.
Thank you.
I do. You guys are so kind and just so. I don't know.
We want
I really,
we want our listeners to know what's going on, and so
And I do too. This is one thing that I strive for, to get that out too.
Yeah.
And I've done a lot of that. I am retiring, so this will be the last time you probably talk with me.
Congratulations.
Anyway. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I'm done August 8th
My goodness.
this year.
Well,
Yeah,
who's the replacement? Is that appointed, or how does that work?
Not yet. I don't have a replacement yet. I think that's up to the county board,
And they will go through it in
do with
public
that.
meetings. They'll go through it and figure it out. Okay.
See, I'm not sure how they do that, because
Yeah.
you have to actually, in order to be a supervisor of assessments, you have to have a designation. On top of you have to pass a state test
Sure.
in order to even be an assessor. So just not like anyone can apply for that.
Right. I hear you. Okay.
So
Stephanie, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. I know how busy it is for you right now. If we can, what I'm going to hope to do with this, I've actually been running my video camera here in the studio while I'm talking to you on the phone. And so I'm going to I do a weekly video on Saturdays, and I post it to our Facebook, or to our social media. And I think this is important enough, and you did such a good job with explaining it, that I'd like to make this my weekly video this week. So
Thank you.
you'll just see me on
as long
camera.
as my voice isn't on there.
Your voice is on here. That's the whole thing. You've got a great voice. That's the whole point of interviewing you.
Oh, stop.
It's good. I promise. You're going to get some good
no.
remarks.
Yeah, we'll see. I won't watch it. I won't listen to it.
Okay, that's fine. You've made it very helpful. Thank you so much, Stephanie. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, you have a great day, and
All
thank
right.
you for doing this as well, and you letting the people know.
Of course.
Honestly. Thank you.
Take care.
I appreciate it.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.